All right. Well, thank you everyone for jumping on our Precious Gems Back to the Basics call. Tonight, I am super excited because we have Missy Briggs, and she is so good at making new contacts, making new friends. And it's crazy because I feel like I get a text from her every single day saying, "Hey, I just made a new friend in, such and such store in this line." And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you do it when we're out in public? I'm in awe of her because she can just strike up a conversation with anyone. And she's really good about making people feel like, included in their friends. So, Missy, before I have you start, I am going to mute everybody out. So you just unmute yourself when I do that, so we don't have any background noise. Okay. All right. So Missy, you can go ahead and get started.
All right. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you getting on tonight and taking the time out of your Monday. I know we all are busy. I'm just going to share with you how crazy busy I am just to start us off. I have 3 beautiful girls, a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, almost 3, and a 1-year-old. That alone just spells out my crazy life. My husband works crazy hours. Our oldest daughter is in some different programs like gymnastics and ballet, a little nature co-op thing at our local nature center. I could just keep listing things and going on and on. And so, as you can tell, I'm busy. I know you guys are as well. And so you can imagine that when I'm out in public, the last thing on my mind is to stop and make friends because I'm super task oriented. I don't really have time in my schedule to stop and smell the roses, if you will. And so, I was out and about one day and it just dawned on me that I needed to slow down for my business. You guys, when we slow down, we can really take time to make these new connections. And the opportunities are endless because they're all around us. I can remember a time when it was a Saturday evening and we just had a few things to pick up at a Sam's Club after church. But our girls were rowdy, they were tired, they were hungry, but we were going to brave it anyway. And so we went into Sam's and picked up what we needed, and we were heading out to the checkout line, and someone had stopped me and noticed that I was carrying my youngest in a baby carrier and just asked me, "Hey, where did you get that? Do you like it?" And so, I really wanted to just say, "Yes, I love it. This is where I bought it." And then hightailed it out of there before any meltdowns happened. But something told me to slow down, talk to her. And so I had offered her to try it on. Those things are expensive. And so you don't want to buy something and then hate it and, waste all of that money. And she was just blown away by that. And we actually ended up talking in that aisle for 30 minutes, just about everything. And, kind of wrapping it up and ending our conversation, I had said, "Hey, would you be okay if I added you to Facebook? Because you're just so awesome. I would love to be your friend and be in your daily life." And so right then and there, I added her to Facebook. And, I didn't necessarily bring up Plexus right away. But I was really excited to just to make a new friend. And, sometimes it's just about starting those conversations and building relationships. I know that this can be way outside of your comfort zone because I am naturally introverted and it's way outside of mine. But it's just really something that I feel like we need to do and be completely intentional about. Because when we build that contact base, even if those leads aren't reaching out yet, there's still opportunity there. A few months after I had made my Sam's Club friend, she sent me a message saying, "Hey, I have this friend and she needs what Plexus is offering." It wasn't necessarily about her, but it was about her friend. And I can't imagine, if I wouldn't have stopped to talk to her that day, I wouldn't have this new customer of mine. So that was really exciting. And then I'll share another story. There was a time my sister was moving from Germany this past summer, and my mom and I were busy running errands, just out and about again, and we had stopped in our local Bed Bath & Beyond, and there was a woman and her friend in front of us with their children, and they made their purchases and then headed out to the exit. Excuse me. And then, we made ours, and we started to make our way to the exit, but they were kind of blocking it. And so we couldn't really get out. And I noticed that she was looking at picnic baskets. And so rewind a few weeks before that, a neighbor friend of ours had sent me a message saying, hey, I saw your garage was open. I hope you don't mind. They were moving. I set some things that I thought you and your family would enjoy in your garage. One of those being this gorgeous picnic basket. I loved it, but my husband, he's like, we have no room. We don't need it. We don't need more stuff. Let's donate it. But I just didn't have the heart to do it. And so I held on to it. And instead of saying, excuse me, to pass this woman, something just told me, stop and talk to her. And so, I'd said, hey, I noticed you're looking at these picnic baskets. Are you in the market for one? And she explained that they just also moved from Germany. They were military, crazy coincidence. And her daughter loved to go on picnics on their big land, the big piece of land they had just purchased. And so she was just looking for a picnic basket for her young daughter. And I offered ours. And, we talked outside of that Bed Bath & Beyond for a while. And I kind of did the same thing and asked her if I could add her to Facebook. And it turns out she's also a homeschooling mom. She introduced me to some really fun co-ops in the area. And I can't imagine, again, if I wouldn't have stopped and slowed down to chat with her. I feel like when we slow down and take our conversations to that next step, doors open up. We make friends. We have new prospects, new potentials. These opportunities are always available. And it took a while for me to learn to really stop and slow down because I am so task oriented. And so now I feel like I've made it my mission to just make a new friend every time I'm out. Listen out, to that cashier, and if she's tired, maybe I can bring up Lexus, or the lady with the picnic basket, maybe she just needs a friend. And I must say it does get easier each time. Before, I'm sure I was super awkward and stumbled on my words, or maybe I made a conversation and it just meant nothing, but I am definitely making it an effort just to do it more regularly. Sometimes friends come out of it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I get a customer, sometimes I don't. But I truly believe that it is essential so we can grow our businesses. It's just another way to add to Facebook, our Facebook friend list without friends or people you may know. Because when you're out in public, you can show them your trueness and your authentic personality, just being real and raw with people. And so, I just want to challenge you when you're out in public, or running your errands, just really slow down and see, if you can make a conversation with someone, or make a new friend or add someone to Facebook, because I think it's really important. So yeah, I guess that's really all I had to share for tonight, Megan. Thanks again, everyone.
Yeah, what I love that Missy does very well is she's able to find some sort of connection with another person. And so sometimes that can be hard to do, when we're out and about and we have a limited time with each person that we interact with. But, look for those things. We talked about in our training with Amber Miller that Carrie Wilkerson talked about, those who are hurried don't love well. So, we need to take time, like Missy said, and slow down. Because when we slow down, we're able to make those connections with people. We're able to love people well. And you never know who you're going to stumble across or who they're going to refer you to, like in Missy's case. So, there's always connections you can make with people. You can comment on someone's hairstyle, that you like it, or their clothes or something, and that can open up a conversation where you can find more similarities that, then it would make sense. Like, hey, we should be friends, or, whatever. And like Missy said, I was super awkward at first. I probably went up to people and was like, hey, you have blue eyes. We should be friends on Facebook. But, you'll start to form those connections and learn how to really be genuine in it. So it doesn't seem forced that you're just trying to add to your friends on Facebook. But, always be looking for those. I know that there's been several times where, you've kind of felt that nudge, like, oh, I should go up and talk to that person. And I've let fear get in the way and I let those opportunities go by. And so what if I was bold enough to actually do it and follow through? You never know who your next rock star might be. It might be the person checking you out at the grocery store. So just always be aware of that. So tying into what Missy talked about, I wanted to talk about an incentive for October, which I'm super excited about. And that is, I am looking for the most creative ways that people have to make new contacts. So every time you make a new contact in the month of October, you know, whether it's because you're in line at Starbucks, which I don't know why you would because you're drinking pink. Just kidding. But, you know, if you're in line at your local Juice Plus, or not Juice Plus, but like a juice place, this is laughing at me, getting a juice, and you come across someone and you strike up a conversation. I want you to go, I'm going to make a post for it on the GEMS page. I want you to comment with how you connected with that person, or what creative way, you know, did you stick a business card in an envelope to pay your bills and you got a call? You know, whatever it may be, I want you to comment each time you do it, or each time you have a creative one. And I'm going to pick the top 3 most creative ways that people have made contacts. And those 3 people will get Plexus shirts mailed to them at the end of the month. So make sure you're always commenting on it all month long. You could have 31 entries, you know, however many contacts you make this month. That just increase your chances. It's for my levels 1 through 7, and I will go ahead and post it after this call. But that's awesome information, and I appreciate you, Missy, for sharing that with us. Does anyone have any questions for her on how she makes those connections or new contacts?
I'm not scary. Ask away.
She's not. That's why she has so many new friends. Okay, well, if you think of any, I'm sure she would be happy to answer. And I appreciate all of your time. And Missy, I appreciate you. You guys have a great night.